I think we're reaching a peak with AI. Like,
Welcome to the podcast. Today we have a special guest with us, Georgios Diamantopoulos. He is the founder and CEO of Zero to MVP. So, Georgios, why don't you share a bit about your role at Zero to MVP and how it fits into the bigger picture?
Amazing. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. So, as you said, I started a company a few years ago called Zero to MVP. Me and my co-founder come from a long string of startups. We were involved in various roles, and we thought, why don't we make something out of this? And we tried to help early stage founders to build the products, essentially. So we did that for 6 years, and now we're shifting our direction a little bit. We're starting Taskforce, which is a business automation subscription. So with a fixed cost, we're getting into businesses and automating their processes so they can be more efficient.
Yeah, and you shared a couple of those things with me, and it was quite impressive what you're doing. I remember one of those stories was that a business thought they wanted something big and elegant, and then you just switched it up and were like, well, you can actually solve that with something very simple. And you got that done, and they were very, very pleased with it.
Yeah, there's so much going on right now in the space. I mean, AI is everywhere as a buzzword, and it's very hard to separate, the noise from signals, as people say. So we implicitly help our clients do that. So, when they come to us and they say, well, I want, this and this and this, and then we ask why, why do you want this? And then they'll, slowly uncover the real reason, like the actual efficiency that they want to bring into the company, the time that they want to save. And then we go, well, to get there, there's actually a much shorter route that we can take. So to give an example, because it all sounds abstract, we recently spoke with someone who's running a marketing agency, and she wanted to kind of streamline the way that she creates content, get stakeholder approval, do iterations, and all of that. So she had some consultations with other companies and freelancers, and they were trying to kind of build this amazing dashboard and whatnot. And we said, well, you're already on Notion. Your clients are already on Notion. Why don't we just build you a bot which interacts with the AI, brings in all the context that you want to the AI, so you don't have to do all this like copying pasting between ChatGPT to get the context in. Refine the content, then send it back to the stakeholders, get their feedback, put it back into ChatGPT, and then so on and so forth. So what we ended up with is that they had a single page with sort of some structured some bullets essentially where they described to the AI what they wanted out of that piece of content. The AI would start the first draft, and everybody could see it once she was happy with it, and they could just tag the bot to make further iterations with their comments.
Yeah,
So it
that's
was all
awesome.
very sort of compact.
It's the kind of stuff I've wanted to play with for a long time. It's maybe using the MCP server with that. Yeah. Uh,
Um, you can use MCP if you need to bring in additional tools into the mix. For this particular one, you don't need that, because all the content exists in Notion. So it's just feeding that context into the AI API. So, they were using this particular company was using OpenAI. So, just fitting it in with the right amount of context and then asking it to generate a response and then put it back in the right place. Um, And MCP, the way that I think about MCP is most of the time is useful for people working with like desktop AIs where they can like say for example I know it's a generally a bad idea but I'm very careful with it. I've given Claude my which is the desktop AI that I use, access to my email, and it will help me like create rules for filters so that my inbox doesn't get too hammered and so on.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, Definitely a lot of opportunity there, depending on what everyone needs.
Yeah, I mean, again, very hard to distinguish the signal from the noise to get the kind of use cases where AI will actually bring some ROI and it's not just a fancy tool. Um, my personal opinion is that automation does great even without AI. So we have to be careful where we introduce it. Like, can we actually solve this without AI? Do we need it? And then if we do need it, what is the minimum kind of scope that we can give it so that it can have some good results, right?
Yeah, for sure. So, what does a typical day look like for you?
I wish there was a typical day, to be honest. Working in a small company and with a background in startups, I guess you could say that in some ways I'm a little bit chaotic. I do everything from sales to accounting, keeping the books of the company, coding, coordinating with the rest of the team. So kind of, everything comes through me. Thank God I have some automations that, make this more efficient for me.
Pretty typical of a small company. So, what major shifts are you seeing in your industry right now?
Oh, that's a good question. I think we're reaching a peak with AI. Everybody is everybody's kind of sentiment is reaching a plateau. I think everybody had a bias to start with. I think very few people actually changed their bias throughout. There's people who started like super excited about AI and they're still super excited that they're still finding reasons to be super excited. And then there's other people who were skeptical about AI.
Yeah. So, you mentioned a little bit about how you're implementing AI into the businesses that you work with, but how has that trend impacted your own business or growth strategy?
It has helped our development process. So, since we have only senior engineers on the team, which is important, because we have enough experience to um, understand everything that we have to put into the AI so that it will produce something that's, say, bearable or passable or however you want to call it. Not to say that, it won't mess up every so often and we have to go and correct it. But we basically have we have documented a lot of what's in our heads into these kind of sort of context files that we use for different tasks and different agents and skills now in Cloud. And so, it will help us do a lot of things faster. I'm not going to say 10x, as is the colloquial term, but without any proof. More so, a lot of the grunt work, some of that grunt work, we can push off to AI. Um, I don't think it's. I wish it was because I kind of I'm not naturally disposed to marketing and sales. I'm the your let's say average tech guy. And I wish that, the AI would just do that for me. But I think there's so much content that just reeks of AI that I don't want to be that.
Yeah.
So I don't use it that much there.
Okay. Some of the stuff that you were talking about earlier, though, with your clients and just kind of diving into like, well, what do you need? Why do you need that? Sometimes I feel like that's the better part of sales of just, probing to ask questions of like, well, why do you need this? And is it actually what you need? And um, it makes for a much better sales experience when I'm on the receiving end of someone who's just, it seems genuinely interested in, well, what do you actually need? So I'm not just trying to pitch
Yeah.
you something that I have.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, we people with a technical background are quite guilty of that, I think. In general, when someone describes a problem, we rush to give them a solution without kind of thinking through whether that's the best solution for them or making sure that we understand the problem in depth, not just on a surface level. Um, but I have to say, it's also gotten worse in a way because of AI, because a lot of clients now think that they will conversate with AI and they'll take their thoughts further in the technical realm. So we have to take further steps back, if that makes sense, right? So they'll go, okay, I need this integration, and then they go ask, ChatGPT, how would I go about building this integration? And then they're kind of fixed on this idea of doing this exact thing. But they should also be coming into the conversation with an open mind, accepting that we have an expertise that they don't have. Otherwise, why would they be on a call with us in the first place, right? And that we might have some different things to suggest. And I'm not one of those people where, um, uh, you know, like I encourage clients to ask questions, and I'll happily walk them through anything that I've said or I didn't say, and clarify, anything that they want. But that level of um, kind of basic, let's say, role play, right? So I'm the expert in this, and you're the expert in your own domain, and we kind of accept that, not blindly, but do accept. Um, it has to be there to have a productive conversation. So I kind of wish they didn't ask AI before before they had a call with me.
Yeah, makes sense. So, what's been working well for you right now, and what's been frustrating?
Oh, let's see. Um, so I mean, what's been working well, I guess, is the tech side. We've had this idea to build Taskforce for a couple of years, I guess. So it has, and for other reasons, we didn't pursue it straight away. But for all that time, the it has been sort of brewing inside of us. We have been kind of working in our heads in the background, through the architecture, how things would work. So when we got to it, it was kind of a straight line, and we've built so many systems before that we also know the rough patches in that sense. So that works well. Like we're quite happy where we are. We're ready to take on more challenges in that regard. The part that we're finding more challenging is that we don't have someone doing marketing in-house right now. And so I've had to pick that up. And, my co-founder is supporting me, but he's not an expert either. So we're learning along the way. But I guess what I want to say is that, we've gotten used to having the upper hand in our work. And now we don't have that anymore. We feel like newbies again. And, it's a little bit uncomfortable, but rewarding at the same time.
Yeah, makes sense. So, is there anyone that's more dedicated to sales on your team? Because I know you mentioned you shift between different things on a daily basis.
Yeah, I would say that right now I'm solely doing that. And then like once we grow a little bit, we definitely want to, bring someone with experience to do that. I mean, founder-led sales, I know that's a thing, but I don't know. I think, each to their own and everybody should have their expertise and go with that. So I think that would be our first hire. Like, we have a small team, like small technical team, and that's good. That will take us for a while, like in terms of volume of clients that we can take in. But as soon as we can, we're gonna bring a salesperson, I think.
Yeah, makes sense. It's hard to wear all those hats for sure. So that kind of leads into the next question, and you kind of mentioned this earlier, but what metrics are you most focused on improving?
Yeah, so funny you should say that. I guess one of the new hats that I have to wear and learn along the way is product analytics. But this time, like we've done integrations with analytics many times. As developers, we'll go into a product and add the right events and tracking of different things so that people, the stakeholders on that side can analyze user behavior and improve the app and whatnot. But this time I have to do it from the dashboard side, um, which means that I have to think through what I should be tracking and how and whether that actually is meaningful. Because I mean, you can track a lot of things that are vanity metrics and don't mean much. Um, so what we're going for is actual like engagement with the site. Like people will actually read the content when they get there. That it means that it's engaging to them and it helps them think through how automation could help them. And I mean, I don't know if it was sort of apparent from my introduction, the difference in our business model, which is quite unique. There's not many companies that do this, is that we're not offering to help with existing tools. We're not saying, hey, if you have a Zapier workflow that you've built and you need some help, we'll come and help or build it, build some new version for you. We're saying, no, 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 you should be hands off. You're a business owner, you should be running your business. We should be taking care of all the workflow stuff for you, right? Like, it's okay for you to use that language, all the workflow stuff, and kind of have it on the side. And you just tell us what you need, and we'll just go and make it. And then again, we can each focus on our expertise. Um, so in that way, we want to make sure that our website has the right information to frame that because it's a new thing. So there is some education involved. And then of course that it leads to conversions, right? So booking a call with us so that we can explain more or actually getting on the program. So those are since we're early on, we're still signing up our first few clients. Those are the key metrics, and I think will be for a few more months.
Yeah, makes sense. And you had mentioned earlier that sales is also one of those metrics that you want to focus on improving.
Yes, absolutely. On a personal level, yeah.
It's a good goal to have.
Yeah, I mean, we very much believe in giving value and getting paid for it, of course. So um, we want our clients to be very happy with the service they have received and not think of like with some SaaS especially um, because I really dislike the sort of model, the business model for many of the SaaS and some of them I do need, so I do subscribe, but on a certain level I feel like they're kind of taking advantage of me, in some way. Um, so we definitely don't want our clients to feel that way, right? We want them to be super happy with the service they received. We don't want to lock them in. We want them to feel free to say, well, this is all I wanted. Seems fine now. I'm okay for a few months or whatever. and just keep those those workflows running and nothing new. So
Yeah. So with all those goals that you have, where do you want to be 6 to 12 months from now?
yeah, so 6 months always feels like such a long amount of time, but it's not, especially given the kind of cycles that we have around, like Christmas, things go down for everybody and they pick up again in January. So um, an older version of me would have said, no, no, 6 months is way too long. In 3 months, we want to be X and Y and Z. So yeah, I'll take the 6 months. I'll say, by 6 months, we want to be having a healthy margin, a profit as a healthy profit that we can reinvest into, expanding the team, and serving more clients. And then hopefully, 12 months from now, we can have a solid team of about 20 people, including sales and marketing. So we can be, I don't have to wear so many hats. We can resemble a quote unquote real company, and not a technical founder-led one. And Yeah, and then our goal is to reach 2 million in revenue in the next 12 months. So
So, in order to reach those goals, if you had a magic wand to fix just one thing that's holding you back or slowing you down, what would that one thing be?
good question. I think if I had a magic wand, I would like speed up time. Because there's a lot of the quote unquote good marketing, like the marketing that I believe in, the slow, no pressure, no cold email type of stuff, like, writing content, connecting with people, speaking to them, learning their needs, nurturing relationships, that kind of thing. That takes time. And so yeah, that would have been that would have been amazing to be able to do, speed
Yeah.
up time.
I mean, we're on this call, we're doing this podcast because of cold email today. So I think, it has its benefits and you can reach more people with it for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, Georgios, it's been fantastic learning more about your company today, talking with you. If any of our listeners want to reach out to you, how would be the best way for them to do that?
Thank you so much for having me. If anybody who's listening wants to reach out, our website is taskforce.tech, and our email is right there on the website. So if you want to reach out, or alternatively, you can find me on LinkedIn. But you have to get my last name from the the text in the video. Please do write it in the in the description, because it's very long, so people will not remember it.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get that. And yep, for any of our listeners, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks.